Yeah, I know you felt that. We wanted to start the show off with a vibe that was a little less ugly. 2016 was an interesting year, and we have people here today to help speak on the issue. As my comrade, Brother Boise Edwards, would have said, it was enough to make you want to holler. So today we're going to give you the real deal. And we will be speaking on it, but you won't be able to today because we are not doing this as a live show. We're doing this as a pre-recorded because it's the first show in the new studio on a Saturday for this year. I'm sure that Jose and Boise would be proud. They always had a whip to be sure that we got the first show of the new year. And you already know Brother Harold Davis,
Yes,
but I'm not going to call people names. I'm going to call their own name. My name is Maalik. That's all you need to know for right now, because we're going to kick some things around in a minute. Brother Harold.
Harold Davis.
Wali Muhammad.
Advisor Bo.
D. Neal.
Now let me tell you why you got this panel this big. We've heard a lot of conversation about why the violence in Chicago was so out of control in 2016. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. I was looking at 60 Minutes the other night. I was looking at the previous police superintendent. And I was looking at TV the other night and I saw President Obama. And they look confused as hell. They say they don't know. But maybe because of this, maybe because of that. But when you look at that newspaper, you see over 780 people lost their lives. More than in the last, about 20 years? And then somebody said that the shooting increased about more than the last 60 years.
Right.
Now, I can't take no credit for that one because now, I was here then, but 60 years? That's a long time. But yet, the arrest rate went down. To stop and check the possible criminal rate went down. But then I look back on Facebook last night and the union and the police have come together and they say, well, y'all can do a little bit more now. Y'all can start doing it a little bit more now because that paperwork was too much for you. Ain't that a hell of a thing? You say I got too much paperwork, so you just stop working. If I tell Harold Davis I got too much paperwork, you know what he gonna tell me? Dude, be gone. But we allow this to happen. But I don't want to say too much about that. Harold was saying something before the show that sort of shook me, and we have to include that. Harold, why don't you start with that? Because it's not just about the gang violence.
Well, yesterday they buried 16-year-old Desiree Robinson, who was murdered in Markham in a garage where she had performed a sex act. And come to find out that, we had talked with some relatives, Maureen Forte, who said that the little girl was on Backpage.com, which really is if you look at it, a pornography, prostitution kind of page. And it puts you in the mind of Las Vegas. If you've ever been in Las Vegas and you walk the strip, you see these magazines with these prostitutes in there because it's legal. Well, these little girls have videos. They have rates of what they charge, phone numbers, and the whole gamut. And she was 16 years old, and so Maureen was basically telling us yesterday that she was looking for the video, and Backpage.com had taken it down. But as she was looking for that video, she saw her next door neighbor's 15-year-old daughter there on the back page. And so she immediately went next door and told her neighbor, she said, your baby is on here. And she said, well, I'll drop her off and pick her up. She said, yeah, but when you drop her off, where you say you're dropping her off at, she leaves and then she comes back just in time for you to pick her up. And so this, it's rampant in the south suburbs Because if you look at these pages, you know, I never even knew this back page existed. But when I looked at it, the majority of the black young girls that are on there are focused in the south suburbs. And so the south suburbs are very aware of this issue that's going on, according to what I've heard. And so yesterday, Marine said that there was approximately 6 adults responsible for this child committing this sex act, and that this child had been committing sex acts, and that she may mention that there's a possibility there was an off-duty Chicago police officer involved in it. There's some black lawyers that she said that had invited this girl to come dance at some Christmas parties. And so there's some adults that are directly responsible for the behavior of these children, or the lack of behavior that these children are possessing, or the decisions that these children are making are being made by some adults. Because when they asked the guy, why did he kill her, he said, because he asked for 15 more minutes, and she said no. And so the people in the car who dropped her off, they were waiting in the car. They went and knocked on the garage door, and he said, well, she putting her clothes on. But when he went to court, they basically, he said in the courtroom that he slit her throat like he was slicing up some fish. And I don't know if he's planning an insanity plea, but at the end of the day, she was buried yesterday. The heinous crime was not reported by any national news, but the national news that we saw all day yesterday, all night, was these 4 dysfunctional young people who allegedly kidnapped a Caucasian boy. And so, but not to show what happened to her, and not to show the transcripts that were released by the Dylan Wolf trial of the South Carolina 9, where he basically said, I have no regrets. I've shed not one tear. And he filed a motion himself saying, why should I have to sit in court and listen to them cry about the loved ones that I killed? There was no national news story about that. And so the national news all over the world is showing these 4 black, 2 black guys and 2 black girls. Right. It's all over the world. But the trial and the transcripts, that should have been frontline news to me. What was released on these transcripts of what Dylan Storm Roof said in reference to the people he killed.
See, and the question becomes, how do the media determine 780 deaths when I would imagine that the 4 of us sitting here know of some bodies that was found that they don't know about? I know people tell me about things that they don't tell the police about. And I know that in that picture, there are more than that. But that's enough. But they all don't go out because of games. And that's what, Brother Bo, I want you to just tell us, Brother Bo, why is it, in your opinion, that the media, the powers that be, make us think that all of what happens in the street is because of a war or a battle between street gangs, when Mr. Davis have already shown that you had this character that paid for services from a young 16-year-old girl, and because he didn't get his way long enough, he decided to cut her up like a fish. Now, that's what's happening with a lot of the street stuff. It ain't got nothing to do with gangs. It's got to do with somebody wanted to do something else in this and that. Brother Bo, help us understand what you think the problem is and how we get this thing in check.
Well, pretty much the main problem is us. And I'll get to that in a minute, but to speak to the question you asked, you know, we have a system in place. And systems is how people make money, okay? McDonald's is a system. It makes money. As long as you buy into the franchise, and you make the hamburger the way they make the hamburger, and you put that business in a particular location, it makes money. Okay? Why? Because it's a system. All right. We're dealing with systems. Okay? You have prisons being constantly built. It's a newspaper article that shows that certain states are actually suing the government because of these prisons that were privatized, that was built. They're supposed to be at full capacity, showing 99.9% incarceration, the rate, okay? These prisons wasn't built to relieve overcrowdedness of existing prisons. They were built to put people in. But the people that's going in these prisons are black and brown people, okay? So if you're not relieving the overcrowdedness of existing prisons, then you have to create a condition within these communities throughout the United States to guarantee that you have the bodies put in these prisons. See, a lot of things is not newsworthy. See, anything to have anything to do with our youth or these gangs, as they want to call them, is newsworthy. So if there's any activity in the black or brown community where people are being killed, they don't show it as two individuals having a problem. They show it as a gang problem. See, these two individuals might be a part of two different organizations, okay? Our children are not being taught, if you step on my feet, say excuse me. So if you step on my feet, it's altercation. We don't fight about altercations today, we shoot about them. Because where can you go buy a gun with an extended clip that's fully automatic? You see what I'm saying? Or semi-automatic in gun stores. They not sold there. But they on the streets of Chicago, New York, Detroit. They in all the major inner city streets. How is these guns getting there? The condition, the system. It's big business. It's bigger than our youth. Our youth don't have a clue. They don't even look at news, okay? They don't even know what's going on around them. We do. But we got to be men that speak truth to power and don't have a spirit of fear about what come out our mouth. You see what I'm saying? Somebody got to educate the masses. A lot of things is going on that's not being talked about. See, we're not having fun. Where's Jesse Jackson? Why you ain't talking about what's really going on? You see what I'm saying? We have a lot of leaders that ain't talking about what's going on. But who are these leaders? These were leaders somebody chose for us. You see what I'm saying? You have leaders in these streets, and they belong to cliques. They belong to the grassroots organizations, the street organizations. It's time for them to step up. These are the generals. It's time for people to step up and start speaking truth to power. What's going on in society is geared toward us as a people. It's about keeping us down. This thing is big business. We being locked up and incarcerated every day in masses. You know, our children are witnessing violent acts in the street. If you go to a war in this country, when you come home from that war, you was treated for post-traumatic stress syndrome, okay? Where the post-traumatic stress when it comes to our children that's witnessing a man getting his brains blew out? You see what I'm saying? So what happens to that child that saw that? That child becomes desensitized. So when you got children running around here desensitized with the constant violence that's being committed in front of them, then in time they will grow to commit the same acts and don't have no feelings about it. You see what I'm saying? Because they're not being treated for the symptoms. You know, they got all these different drugs that our children are taking. We have a drug problem among our youth that's not being addressed. The drugs is just a symptom of the real problem. The problem is a social problem. It's an economic problem. It's a religious problem. It's a political problem. And it's bigger than our people. Our people, our youth, are not, they don't have a clue.
Okay, and with that, let me just say this. Hell of a thing. You know, when I was a shorty, children played house. Little girls and boys, everybody played it.
Yeah.
I was looking right across the street from where I stayed, Brother Muhammad. I was looking at some kids playing, and they had the leaves, and the leaves looked like graves, all mounded up and shit. And I watched it. And those kids were sitting there having a funeral right on the block, mimicking what they see in church. Each kid was taking their turn to talk about it. But it wasn't a round bunch of leaves. It was an extended bunch of leaves. And I stood there and I looked. But because I didn't want the daddy to come out and check me for saying anything to him, I just made it a note. Now think about what he said. That has become the norm. Now we play cemetery. Now we play dead mama, dead brother, dead daddy. But yet somehow, Harold, these people have allowed some European to come in our community, and where I stay in Austin, you got crosses all over the damn community. Don't represent where somebody died. They just got some little something they pushing, so they push it with a cross. But every time our children walk through the community, it reminds them of what? A cemetery. Right. So yes, they have become desensitized, and what happens is they won't allow us, those that are out here like Brother Bo, and Brother Raheem and my brother here, they won't allow us to talk to these young people and guide these young people back to balance. And I think what happens is that 2017 don't have to be as ugly as 2016. But we have to somehow break through. And Brother Muhammad, you and I was talking about a breakthrough. And I had said to Brother Muhammad that I've been very pleased with what I've seen that Harold Davis and others have been doing. And it seemed like to me that he and Brother Raheem and Gregory Sane and them have created something where you see the so-called community watchers, safe passage people multiplying. Other groups out there doing the same thing now. I don't know if they get paid, I don't know what they do, but they moving around. And the more people you see move around, the more visibility you see, it makes the community feel what? Safe. So those are positive things that I think 2017 will bring about, but we, men, have to be the one to push it out here. Brother Muhammad, I know the Nation of Islam, the Minister Farrakhan says all the time that you have to take it to the street. But when you take it to the street in a group, that's good. But if you take it to the street as an individual, how does that pan out, Brother Muhammad?
Well, first of all, brother, thank you very much for the honor of allowing me to be part of your first broadcast in this new year and in the new digs, if you will.
Yes, sir.
As men who are committed to see a difference in the lives of our youth, it's very important that we look approachable. And oftentimes, in trying to project what some may call as a militant view, you know, people are not accustomed to that. And it doesn't really provide an opportunity to have real dialogue. Real dialogue is what's missing with us today. This forum here that you have graced us with allows us an opportunity to dialogue. That is so important, because without dialogue, how could I know the beauty of my brother Bo, or the strength of my brother, or the great Raheem, or Brother Harold and you? We have to be able to have dialogue. So the problems that afflict us, we are all concerned. But without the opportunity to dialogue, then your part of the solution, I can't receive. My part of the solution, you can't receive. So when we out in the community, you don't have to cram down the community your idea, because your community already know. As my brother said, We the answer to the problem. We it. So you can't come and talk to people and not have them talk back to you. That's what dialogue is all about.
True.
So as you mentioned about mentoring, mentor means to advise, to train, to guide. Our problem is we've had the wrong mentors for young people. Well, how do you know? Look at the result you produced. Nothing. Nothing really good and positive. And the few positive mentors that are available, they have been ostracized. Because as my brother said, this is a system that is based on the commercialization of our ignorance and self-hatred. That's really what it is. Everybody gets paid because we hate ourselves. Everybody gets paid because violence is what? It's a manifestation of self-hatred. That's all it is. Because if I love you, I'm not going to never raise up against you. If I love you, even though the popo say, look, train going to be at so-and-so rail yard at 1:30 tonight, come through. But I love myself. So I may go get them, but I'll never turn them on what look like me. See, that's our problem. So how do you love yourself? You can't love yourself without knowledge of self. So who's going to teach you who you really are? Our young people are in such a despondent state of despair. Hopelessness is rampant. You talk to our children today, they don't expect to see 21. Why? Why are you so full of life, so full of promise, and you don't even expect to live? Because there's nothing that builds me up. Nothing makes me feel good about who I am. So I'm going to run around here, I'm a ship without a rudder. I got no aim, no direction, no nothing. Who's teaching our babies who we are? This is the job of the elder. This is the job of the mentor. You got to establish in our young people that you have a great worth in the sight of God and in the sight of your community. Because all of us gonna pass the scene in a minute.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable leaving now?
Nope.
Do you feel comfortable?
Okay.
No, you terrified. Say, oh Lord, what am I gonna leave here? My God. Well, elders, that should make you wanna get up. But you can't teach these babies the same old crap that you have succumbed to. Because what you succumb to is exactly what they're in disagreement with. They don't want your life. They don't want to be a slave. In fact about it, our children want to be free. They don't want no job with the enemy. They don't want to go to his school. They don't want to go to his church. They don't want nothing to do with none of that. But who is a mentor that's qualified to teach them to go for self? See, our problem is, and I'm going to be quiet, Brother Doctor.
That's cool.
We keep pushing an idea down our children's throat that God has gotten rid of. You keep wanting to integrate. Yeah, I said it. I'm a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Can't you see you ain't going to never get nothing out of this? Cannot you see that this way of life under this system, under this people, has produced the misery, heartache, and grief and despair that we are now witnessing? When are you going to wake up and understand that God does not want us to integrate? Oh, you don't like that because you got a job. Y'all got a good job. But your children don't have no respect for you. You and your job. You can't tell them nothing. That's how you know they don't respect you. So God really wants separation. And you elders, I know you turn the TV off now. Because can't nobody tell you that these ain't some good white people. When every damn day you pray to God that your babies come back home safe in a system that you had nothing to do with making. So what are we going to do? Spin the bottle? Who gets the blame today? Well, I'll take the blame today. Well, who gets them up? Spin the bottle again. Or are you going to admit that your way has not produced any good? our babies don't want your way. They're ready for something new. This generation of young people, this is the warrior class. These are the natural protectors of our communities. They're natural defenders.
Yeah.
All we got to do is teach them the knowledge of who they are, which will produce the love in them that'll make them stop the violence among themselves overnight. But guess what?
Yeah.
There's another factor. The enemy knows what's written of us. He knows what's prophesied. So while you trying to claim them, he's trying to justify slaughtering all of them, which is why they put that thing on social media that's all over the world. Because when it comes down on Chicago, as my teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, stated in a lecture where he talked about the killing of the brother in Ferguson, Mike Brown, he said Chicago is the epicenter of what they intend to do. He said because it's the capital of black consciousness. He said, I'm here. Reverend Jackson here. Black consciousness is here. So can't you see they said in Chicago in particular for slaughter? Do you really think that's a coincidence that these babies are on Facebook all over the world now? You think that just happened? You think that Rahm Emanuel meeting with Donald Trump? Well, tell Rahm he needs to ask for federal assistance. Then the media say, well, he already did when he saw you. It's a game. Because their aim is to come down on black youth, brown youth in Chicago, but not come down with policy, not come down with job training. They intend to roll the tanks out in the streets. They intend to kill our babies wholesale. Yeah. And if we don't put our differences aside, because you say they're gangbanger, but we gangbanging. We arguing over nothing. Like they do. You say you stepped on my shoe. Well, they got it from you. Well, I'm a Christian. I'm a Muslim. I'm a Pan-Africanist. That's gangbanging. So they got it from you. You keep differences up over nothing. Well, that's where they got it from. We got to stop it. And if you're going to be an elder, don't be an elder because you old. Be an elder because you got wisdom.
Ain't no doubt.
Don't say, respect me, I'm an elder. You just an old fool.
Right.
Hell no. Be an elder in wisdom. Be an elder in understanding. Be an elder in cultivation. Be an elder because you teach your little black babies how to love themselves. That's what make you an elder. Otherwise, you just an old damn fool.
And with that, young blood, don't mean it disrespectfully, but another generation. Spit, tell us what's on your mind, brother.
You know, I see it in exactly the way you brothers see it. But by me being a little bit younger, I'm a little closer to our youth. And what I've gathered through the years of dealing with them and talking to them, because I mentor a lot of them through music. And they come from homes where they lacking a father figure from the start. So nobody ain't there to teach the young men how to be men. And then you got the mom who's struggling, doing the best she can, working jobs, so she probably not able to be there to teach them what she need to teach them because she trying to provide for them. They got younger siblings. They got a grandmother, she probably sick, so they turn to their friends for solutions. Some of their friends got fortunate enough to have both parents, so they got the finer things, the materialistic things that make you a part of the inner crowd. And when they get out there in them streets, you could be to taught them everything under the sun about how to be a productive, moral person in life, but you one parent who's going against the entire world of influence on your child. Now they get out here with their friends and they want to have the nice things in life, and they can't get a job because they 14, 15 years old, so legally they ain't allowed to work in the state. And I'm just getting to the point of this is one of the reasons why a lot of them sell drugs. And from the drugs, you already know violence gonna ensue from there because it's territorial. But I'm closing down all of the schools, forcing our youngsters to have to travel through what would be a rival's community just to get to school for education. And in order to do that, they gotta carry guns to protect themselves. Because ain't nobody fighting with the fists like we did back in our days when we was coming up and we had an altercation. We'll meet each other in the middle of the street. Go toe to toe, literally put our toes toe to toe, and we'll stand there and fight it out. And when it's over with, You know, we at the penny candy store together and just having fun at the field house like it was nothing. And you got the lack of the father, it brings the young man up having to be the man. So when the father come home from jail, if that's where he at, if he was blessed to be in jail and not dead, where he can see another day to be in his kid's life at some point, he got to come home in conflict with his son about who the man. That's right. And he ain't trying to hear what his father got to say, because he feel like, you ain't been in my life all this time. I had to help moms. I had to take care of my sister and my brothers by whatever means I had to do it. So they gonna constantly bump heads. So it's like the elders, the youngsters told us that they feel like we failed them. We allowed them to be out here and have to navigate their way through the problems that exist today. They didn't create them. They just found a way to survive through it. And we as the masses, you know, we don't like the way they have to navigate through it, through the actions that they portraying with killing each other out here. But they don't own no gun stores. They don't own planes and boats, you know, just to take it back to the old saying, they don't have the means of shipping nothing into their communities. And that plays on the part of us getting out there speaking to them. Anybody can't just talk to them. If you don't have the credentials that allows them to understand you come from exactly where they come from, you're not gonna get 2 feet within them. That's right. So when the media and a lot of our buffers that's supposed to be our black leaders get on TV and go to talking about, oh, our community this, our community that, if you GPS them, they don't live nowhere near our community. They don't have a clue what's going on in our community. And when y'all want to talk about resolving our issues in our community with our youngsters, why you don't got none of our youngsters there? I go to the rallies, I go to the marches, I go to the meetings, and there's only one common denominator that's missing from those meetings is the problem, the youngsters. Ain't none of them there. How you gonna create a solution to their problem when you don't even got them there voicing their opinions about what's going on with them? And then to piggyback on what was said earlier, the drug epidemic with them. You can't make sense to somebody who's literally not in their right state of mind. They taking all type of mind-altering drugs that was meant for medical, medicinal reasons. They done turned them into leisure time drugs. Your Percocets and Xanaxes, mixing it with ecstasy and lean and Molly, you know, killing their brain cells, tumors and holes being grown into their brains. Their speech is slurring down. It's slowing down. You can't make sense to them. So like you say, where is their medical help? Where is the researchers coming into our community trying to bring our youngsters to a state of rebirth? You don't know who you are, you waiting on somebody to tell you who you are. And if I gotta tell you who you is, I'm not gonna tell you, because then I ain't gonna be able to manipulate you. So, and that plays on all of our misguided elders out here who using our youngsters out here today. You know, when we was out here in the streets, gang banging and doing what we was doing, it's brothers who was out here that had wanted no part of that. But when all the leaders and guys like us retired and left the streets and left that alone, trying to ensue a new lifestyle because we done did time in the penitentiary, we got families now and we want better for ours, so we trying to give a positive outlook on what to do. You got that brother who ain't have nothing to do with that lifestyle because he wasn't about that life. Now he's the one still on the street right now trying to make our youngsters think he was out here getting down when it was going down, and he Mr. Big Man in the hood, and all the youngsters looking up to him and don't know he coward number one. But he ain't got people like us to be able to roll up on him and tell the youngsters, this his real resume. He ain't who y'all think he is, because when the word get out that we coming, he get long gone. He don't want to face that.
And see, I think that's the type of information that we wanted to put out here today. And we're going to be doing a little more of this, but we got 5 minutes left, so I want Brother Harold and Brother Bo and Brother Muhammad, you know, in your own way, tell us what you see for 2017 or what we might be able to do to make it a better year than 2016.
Well, I think that when you look at the when God would tell Moses all the time, when Moses would go up to the mount and he would tell Moses, you know, use what you got in your hand. And Moses had a staff in his hand. And I was reading some statistics the other day that said that, well, our $1.3 trillion of gross national income we would be the 15th richest nation in the world if we were ranked. But 71% of black people in America have 2 or more smartphones. We spent $20 billion last year on cable and internet. We spent $52 billion on synthetic hair products that puts our women in a European standard of beauty mindset that they don't know who they are. And so at the end of the article, Doc, it said that black people created 12.2 million jobs in America, but didn't have any of them. The U.S. Policy Institute of D.C. Came out with an article in December that said black men in Chicago are the #1 unemployed men in the nation. In Chicago, #1 in the nation. And they said, well, how did that happen? 4 quarters in a row, black men in Chicago led the nation in unemployment. Brother Wally said we had the minister here, we had Jesse Jackson here, we had the last 3 U.S. senators since Reconstruction from here. We got our president from here. And so how could it be that we have we're the #1 unemployed people in America, right in Chicago? And so to create 12.2 million jobs off of that kind of income, then it says, Brother Doc, is that it's in our hand. We just have to understand that who you give your money to is who you give your power to. And at this point, we are paying for the oppression that's on us right now.
Yeah.
Brother Bo,
Say that.
close us out. What do you want to leave in the ears and the minds of the folks?
Simply this here, that ain't nothing gonna change until we change it. We gotta change our thinking. If we change the way we think, then everything around us changes. It's just that simple. We can't think we're gonna change this, and this. No, that's putting a Band-Aid on a problem. We have to approach everything holistically, religiously, socially, economically, politically. We got to attack this problem holistically because society, the world, is watching Chicago. Chicago is a melting pot right now. And Chicago is setting precedents on how they're going to deal with us as a people throughout the United States. So if they can get away with murdering us here, nobody nowhere has nothing coming. It's going to all start right here. And I'm saying this here. We can change this here, but we got to work together. You did. The religious leaders, the political leaders, the social leaders, the economic leaders, we all have to come together. We're talking about the business community. We're talking about grassroots organization. Everybody got to sit at the table and dialogue and find reason with our rappers, with our NBA players, basketball players, the whole 9 yards, the whole gamut. You know, we got to stop acting like we are not our brother's keeper, because we are. You know, who's going to take care of us? But
Gentlemen,
us.
let me say this. They say we got no time left, but I like the idea that we are our brother's keeper. So until next time, y'all, just keep in mind what you heard here and start looking out for your brother. Start helping the child next door, even though he might not have a mother or a father in their right mind. Each one, help one. Brother Muhammad,
Yes, sir.
last 4 seconds, what can you do with it?
God is going to make us become united. Moses and Aaron were told by Jehovah that when they rejected them, he was going to send fiery serpents to the children of Israel. Guess what, y'all? That's angry white people. That's Donald Trump and his whole gang coming for you. And when he get done with you, you're going to want to be together. Bet that.
And we out.
Ain't no doubt.
On spirit.
Yeah, we can do that.
I thank you, Father, that's on spirit.